Hello everyone and welcome back to Scripting the Editor with Python. In this video, we are going to see how we can use our imported textures and create a master material and then its instances based on the assets that we have. I rearranged the layout, I added this button here, and then I changed the skeletal meshes on this side. So since we're gonna use the static meshes properties here, and the only thing that changed is instead of getting all the children of one horizontal box, now that they are separate, I created an array instead. Just call this one here, and then it should have the exact same effect. Okay, if we can see here, now we can just do the same, and it's still working. Okay, so the idea behind how to create a master material in instances, and we see that we have here, for example, a base color, metallic, normal, roughness. Some of them have specular, some of them don't, so we need to make sure that we include all of them, and we will create switches. So the way that we can do that, we're gonna look at the algorithm, and here I'm gonna create a new folder called materials, and here I'm gonna create a material called master material. Okay, so the basic idea is that we are going to need a texture parameter 2D. We're going to call this base color. And then this one will need to be connected to a static switch. And we are going to need also a static switch parameter. Okay, so then we need to connect this one here, and this one to false, and this one goes to true. Basically, what we have here is once we set the value, we can just toggle between two parameters and see how it works. Now it has the base color. You can switch on and off, with all of them. For example, some assets have opacity maps, some don't. So we are going to need to change that so as that it uses the appropriate texture. Okay, so this is what we are going to automate. Basically, we're gonna create as many instances as we need, and the way we do that is we are going to categorize our textures by name. So this is why naming convention is always important. And okay, so let's start. Okay, so first we are going to instantiate some libraries. Next, so I'm gonna set up the texture directory and the material directory. Okay, so next, I'm gonna read all the textures from the content browser and categorize them into a dictionary. And the way we do that is, so we have here, for example, a textures. So axe has the base color, metallic, normal, and roughness. The bag has base color, normal, roughness, and so on and so forth. So the way we do that is we're gonna take the first part of the name and then associate it with the last part. We're gonna split it and then see which item has how many maps and which maps they have. Okay, so now we can call our function. So here we can just categorize textures, and then it gets the texture code. The way we can see our algorithm is working, we can just go through the dictionary here, our prefix and suffix, texture categories dot items. And then we can just print and see so the prefix is the first part of the texture name, and then we can just now these suffixes are everything that comes after the same name. So base color, metallic, and so on. Okay, so we can just test this. We can go back and to my material, and there we go. So now we have axe has base color, metallic, normal, roughness. Bag has color, base color, normal. So our dictionary is working. So we managed to categorize everything like we wanted. And now we are going to create a master material. Okay, so we need a function to create the master material. So since we know that we're going to create nodes inside of the graph, I'm going to use the position x, position y, and position x variables. And this one is to not have them created one on top of the other. So first we're going to need the factory, and we're going to create a new material. Here, I'm going to call it new mat. So the material factory is a function from the asset tools library. So asset tools, the create asset, and then it's going to require us an asset name. I'll call it Mr. Mat. And then the package path, which will be our material directory. So MA here. And then we're going to need to assign the class. So asset class real dot material and the factory. So the factory is material factory new. Okay, so we're going to need to set up the blend mode since we know that we're going to use an opacity mask. So we are going to have to create a blend mask. Okay, so now we are going to need the dictionary to create, to track the created texture sample. Okay, now I'm going to create a one set of texture sample and static switch node for each property. I'm going to create a dictionary here. The properties. Okay, now we are going to create a loop and to see and start creating our nodes. First, we're going to go and create a texture sample. Okay, so texture sample is going to be a material expression, which is the material expression texture sample parameter 2D that we saw earlier. The way we do that is we call our material edit library, and this one has a create material expression. Then it takes the new material and the texture sample. And we're gonna need the position X and position Y. Okay, so then we're gonna set the parameter name. So then we're gonna add the static switch parameter. Okay, so then we are going to create the static switch. Okay, so now that we have our nodes, then we can use the material editor library to connect our material expressions. First, this one goes from the texture sample, then to the static switch, to the true pin. Okay, now we're gonna store the texture sample node for reuse when creating instances. And then finally, we are going to return the new material, master material, and the texture nodes. Okay, so this function is done. We can move to the create material instances. Now we're gonna loop through our texture categories. In this loop, we're gonna set up the name of the instance and the create the asset. Okay, so next we're going to find textures that match the prefix. So now we need to match texture suffix to property, determine which material property and texture should be assigned to. Okay, so then we need to assign the texture to the corresponding material property in the instance. Real. Okay, now that the function is done, so here what we can do is test new mat and the texture load. Okay. I think that's it. Now we can call our function. Okay, so now that we have finished, we can go back to Unreal Engine and just click on the button to generate the materials. There you go, it creates for us a new material folder, and we can open up and see that our master material has all the nodes that we did before. So as you can see here, it's connected to base color, metallic, specular, roughness, opacity, mask, and normal. So for each one of them, we have the switches. And then if I come here to my, for example, X, gonna see that it has texture, base color, metallic, normal, roughness. So it created the appropriate switches for us. We can go and check, for example, this one has opacity. So roof, opacity, and we can just go ahead and just try to apply. For example, I have this X. We can do the house as well. So now if I come here, back to my materials, and this one is house 2. So if I just apply the material, there we go. We have our house 2 textures with all the appropriate maps. Then if I go to the X, so I can just come here and assign this material. And then as you can see, it's working. There we go. Now we have all our instances automated with one script. In the next video, we are going to see how we can automate the process of assigning all of these materials onto the scene and to our assets. Thank you for watching.